Record the Horror with your host with the most, Chanabelle. As always, welcome back. So we are doing a documentary of the week, one that I found on Amazon Prime. I've been binging a lot of Amazon Prime the last few days. Stumbled upon this one of the many documentaries that I actually caught on Prime the last few days. First one that I'm going to be talking about is Alien Boy, Life and Death of James Chasse. This is about a gentleman who was a very highly intelligent individual, very creative, very artistic, who actually also suffered from schizophrenia. Anyone who's ever dealt with schizophrenia or dealing with someone with schizophrenia just know all the different variations of schizophrenia. I actually personally have had an aunt battle with schizophrenia. Was not a very easy thing to deal with. This case, though, it's very kind of different for the most part. This young man, James Chasse, like I said, very, very intelligent and everything. And that's the thing with people with schizophrenia or anything sort of like this. They're always very highly intelligent, very creative and everything. That's very common to, not all cases, but like I said, very common with people with like schizophrenia or a similar sort of mental illness and everything. So like I said, it's, kind of seeing this to a degree where this gentleman, there were some similarities between him and my aunt. Certain things such as seeing like images and everything, such as like this young man who at one point kept saying, "Oh, the ghosts are coming for me, demons are coming for me," and actually got to a point where he had a suitcase that he like super glued and taped shut and everything, and everyone was like, "What's going on with this suitcase?" It's like, those are the ghosts and demons. I've gotta, keep them locked up, or else they're gonna keep like taunting me and everything. To supposedly having in his mind a conversation with, I think, Keith Richards, talking about things and everything. And I actually even remember at one point a couple of instances where with my aunt, I think Mick Jagger at one point, they were like on tour back in the day, where she was saying that Keith Richards was like stalking her, to even Troy Aikman like stalking her. Yeah, like this is like way back in the day. Like if I'm bringing up Troy Aikman, you guys, you football fans, sports fans kind of know like the day and age this was. But certain things like that, and I know I was kind of like giggling, like it was very scary at the time, but like looking back now, God, Anthony, like, may you rest in peace. I love you to death, but really, just but things like that, you like as a normal functioning, well adjusted head for the most part on my head or on my shoulders, you kind of look at back and you're like, but no, the similar things that, like I said, I could see between this young man and my aunt with like their shared mental illness. My aunt, unfortunately, it was a little more scary than this. This gentleman was, kind of like I said, a little bit more on the other spectrum, where he wasn't really violent. He was, as the doctors kind of had said about this gentleman, at a higher end of the spectrum to actually be possibly successful and being independent and everything. And, as long as he continues treatment and everything, there's no real like threat from him or anything. He's, just as long as he's monitored and everything. But yeah, so very different spectrum and everything. Not that my aunt was completely on the other end of being a complete danger, but we could have gone that route. So I'm just saying, for anyone who doesn't really have too much experience or knowledge about schizophrenia, it's not just schizophrenia, you're fucking crazy and you're gonna fucking kill people. Like, just saying. But yeah, this young man, like I said, was kind of battling with it and everything. And then one day a few years back, I guess this is actually a more recent documentary, or James, you know, and that's the other thing too. The family and friends kind of really started taking notice that there was something definitely wrong, because I mean, he had some like certain struggles, like basic common struggles when he was like, you know, getting to his teens and everything. Grades were slipping and everything. But it wasn't really until, you know, because they would always call him Jim Jim. That was his name, Jim Jim. And then, you know, every time he would write a letter or something, it was like, oh, by the way, this, you know, I'm now known as James Chasse, which, you know, it's kind of like in a way like, well, yeah, because that's your name, but it's like he was so staunch on, no, I'm James, I'm James. I'm not Jay, I'm not Jim Jim, I only respond to James. Or, I'm sorry, James. And that's when, like I said, they kind of, family and friends kind of started realizing, okay, there's something wrong, got him the right help and everything, and for the most part, I would say that, like, the family and the doctors kind of actually approached this individual, his case and everything, his mental illness, pretty, like, okay. Like, you know, yeah, some things, it's very tricky to kind of treat schizophrenia and everything, but for the most part, they did what they could, got him to a good place where, like I said, he could have, like, an independent life, whatnot, normal life, relatively normal life and everything. Well, it comes to happen that one day while he was out, I think he was like caught like urinating in public or something, like on like into a bush or something. Like, yeah, let's see, oh my god! But cops saw him, and apparently to them he was uh you know, either on some sort of drugs, or he was kind of being abrasive towards them first and everything. So, of course, you know, justifiably in their minds, they need to beat the shit out of him to a point where they literally fucking killed him. Yeah. And you know, I don't want to sit here being like, oh, all cops are like this, because they're not. Like, my dad is a retired cop. He was a cop and everything. Very respected and everything. Not to, like, you know, totally pump out my dad. But that's not how all cops are, so I don't want to portray this as like, oh, fuck the police, fuck the police. That is definitely not. This is just sort of showing how, unfortunately, a small group of cops, and this is around the country, that not all cops are good. And here's another interesting thing. The police chief of this force would actually encourage this behavior and would actually go as far as to basically give out rewards for people who had like the highest attacks and forcefulness on these people. So it's just kind of like sickening, because like I said, not all cops are like that. I know this is usually where cops get, like, all cops get their reputation of being pigs, essentially, no pun intended. But yeah, unfortunately, because of a few small incidents like this, you know, but like I said, I'm not going to make this into a thing, because I'm not comfortable with that. Whatever you feel about cops, whatever, I respect the fuck out of them, because you know what, they're fucking putting their lives on the line. But these cops were a bunch of fucking douchebags. I'll say it. But yeah, like, they just, and even, like, onlookers, eyewitnesses and stuff, like, were contradicting what the police reports were saying. Like, police, like I said, were saying, oh, you know, he was being forceful, he was doing this, you know, so we had no choice but to use force back. And a lot of these people were kind of like, okay, like, yeah, like, they beat the crap out of him, but it you know, like, yeah, and he ran, but it looked like he was more running just because he was kind of freaked out, like, ooh, you know, maybe even a little bit embarrassed that he was caught peeing in public, to even kind of picking up on there may have been something wrong with him, like, mentally, whether he was, like, mentally challenged, or maybe a mental illness and everything, so it was not justifiable for them, even for, as an onlooker, not exactly know what was going on, knowing that, okay, there's, like, this is not right. So, and I think, like, they even, like, show some of the police officers being interviewed and stuff. For the most part, most of them are like, okay, yeah, no, this is not what happened. that's not what happened, this is what happened. But there was one police officer they were questioning that, like, literally every question that they were asking me, even for me as a viewer, I was like, his whole body language, I'm like, dude, you're full of fucking shit. So full of shit. Like, they would ask him something, he'd be like, you know, like, his whole posture was giving him a way of, like, dude, like, go on, come on. But no, you guys should really check this one out. It's very powerful, very poignant, and it will kind of make you a little, like, ooh, you know, at times, like, what the fuck, man? But definitely check it out. Like I said, it is on Amazon Prime right now. Check it out, especially if you do love a good documentary. Like I said, it will kind of make you upset at times, invoke some feelings and some thoughts and everything, which I think is what makes a good documentary or even movie, book, whatever. So definitely check it out. For those of you who may have already seen this, please let me know what you think in the comments. So, but yeah, till next time, as always, stay creepy, classy, and a little bit sassy.